that's all interesting, but I hate to like drag this back on topic because we are focused individuals here. So
Oh
flat
no,
Earth
no,
is the
Are we
topic.
I was
flat
gonna bring
earthers?
it back.
Am I?
I was gonna
Yes.
mention it to I was gonna mention it to they don't ever mention once you do get deeper into the scientific process for learning that everyone accounts for human error. Even when I mentioned earlier with like a fast food joint, you can walk into McDonald's. Yeah, they might have put rules in place, like, FDA rules and whatever, but there's always cases where they're doing callbacks on food. There was a whole entire the muckraker incident where they went into the food factories and seen all the gross things that were being put into it. But there's always a lie they put on top, the customer service. Oh yeah, we're totally not just using the bathroom, not wash our hands and then making your meal. So I never understand why people don't want to do the scientific process themselves, understanding that there's always going to be human error on any level. And the fact that we as the people, we can't fact check or we can't check the scientific process on the higher levels
They
is
can't even
kind of
check each other. They can't even check each other. You can't replicate experiments at CERN. They can't do the same experiment again. Those are one-shot deals, man. And whatever result they get, they just have to go, "Oh, we got this result." I mean, like CERN, it's like the Large Hadron Collider, atom smasher, for lack of a better term, right? It's in Europe.
Mhm.
It's the most expensive fucking scientific piece of equipment in the world. So they freaking smash fucking high protons are going the speed of light. They smash them together, and look at the debris. And then that debris, they say, "Look, we found a new fucking particle. Look, we found the Higgs boson. Look, we found this. Look, we found that." That's supposed to be the highest level of science in the world, high energy physics. None of those experiments can be replicated because A, no one owns a fucking Large Hadron Collider except for them, so no one can actually test what they're like. No one can replicate their experiment to see if that was the actual result. And like, and a lot of it's just like statistical massaging because what you're talking about, right? The human error, they they take human error into account. They take on measurement uncertainty into account. They take measurement precision into account, and they apply statistical models on how they can quote unquote eliminate these errors. All they're doing is eliminating them mathematically. They're not actually eliminating them. But like what passes as science now is nothing. It's not actually science. It's fucking voodoo and witchcraft.
And if I can add to that, India, sorry to interject, but is there, like, on top of what you're talking about, is it not fair to say that there's also, in some cases, some sort of philosophical bias at play as well, right? Because they can be doing whatever they're doing to the T in terms of whatever technical standards at play, but then there's a result, right? The statistical analysis that goes into whatever they do that then needs to be interpreted, right? And
Oh yeah, there's always
that is where
interpretation of the
can
data.
lead you down a
Hey
certain
man,
direction.
you can always
Yeah,
build your own Large Hadron Collider.
Mhm.
Well, I mean,
A
I
Boy
don't, I,
Scout built a nuclear generator in his backyard. You could build a Hadron Collider.
dude, it took like a decade just to survey the spot, dude.
Well, it sounds like excuses. Come on, man.
Yeah, man, that's what concrete's for.
No, just to survey the spot because it was surveyed down. They actually used stainless steel fucking wires to measure the distances that would not shrink or expand in temperature changes.
Hey man, if they did it, it can be done again. You can build your own. You just need to get your money up.
I need to get
And
my money up.
come
I
on,
can
Indio,
pimp
get your
I
dough
can
up. Go
pimp your
build CERN.
mom. How about that? Would I get any money for that?
Not very much.
Yeah, fucking die broke. God damn it.
Yeah, my
Yeah,
mom's
we need to
dead, so
fucking
you're
sweep
not
your mom up.
unless you're into grave digging, you're not getting much out of that.
Oh, dude, people are into that. What are you talking about? Stephen
Yeah,
Hawking was at Epstein Island. Obviously, people are into that.
the recent revelations. Yeah, grandma jerky.
Well, then
Yeah,
that proves it even more that there needs to be even more transparency, since the
I don't want
general
any
public.
transparency about Epstein Island. I've heard enough.
Oh,
I'm
no,
done
no,
with
no,
that
not
shit.
Epstein. I was going off of what 20K Ups was mentioning about how if you have your own philosophy, since back to scientific process, you're supposed to go in unbiased for the concept of you
That's
can take any.
impossible. That's impossible.
Uh-huh.
It's not possible not to have. Look.
Which is why
The way you
which is why
eliminate bias, you
transparent.
can't listen to me. Listen. You cannot eliminate human bias. Okay? The only way to control it is so that the experiment is repeatable. That way, human bias doesn't matter, even if you are biased. Because someone that's not biased or has an opposite bias can check, and if they get the same result, as long as they're honest, okay, even if they're biased, as long as they're honest, they're going to say, look, I got the same result. You know what I mean?
I have a
The
question.
purpose of the
That
scientific method, the very purpose of the scientific method is to mitigate human bias. That's the point of it.
Is there a
Because we're all
reason that
biased.
the sun in like the flat Earth model doesn't illuminate the entire disk?
First of all,
Nope.
there's no flat Earth model. A, we don't think the Earth, and B, we don't think the Earth is a disk.
You think it is?
Not a disk.
It's a sphere?
No, it's not. Definitely not a sphere. Because if it was a sphere, the waters of the Earth would curve, and they don't.
Wait, so you don't think it's a disk or a sphere? You think it's what, a
Yeah, it's not.
toroid?
It's like we no. There's no outer space, so it's not a freaking Earth floating around in outer space. There's no solar system. There's no fucking infinite fucking vacuum surrounding the Earth. None of that crap.
We're just on like a
the only
table?
thing
No, we're not on the table, dude. We're not inside of we're not inside of something. It's just the Earth, and that's it. There's nothing else.
main thing I dislike about the globe people, it's like if you're
I know that
going to
hurts your
stay on
feelings,
top
but
of like the shape of what you guys are pushing the Earth to be,
no.
at
There is
least
no
stay
shape,
on like
bro.
collectibles like
No,
topic on what the shape is, because they just
no,
updated it for the people who believe it's a globe, and everyone
no.
now is saying it's
Were
a
you
pear.
here 5 minutes ago before? Like, you were in? Weren't
Not
you
a
in here?
pair.
Okay, weren't you
No,
in?
actually, for all the people who believe that it's a globe,
An egg.
it's been tossed out, and it's now they mention a pear shape,
Yeah,
not an egg.
an oblate
They said
ellipsoid.
it's a
Yeah,
pear.
fine, great. Listen.
I'm not.
Weren't you
I'm
here?
not saying that that's
Listen
true,
for a second,
Indio.
Super
I'm
Gremlin.
just okay. I'm listening.
Listen,
I'm not
listen
saying
for a
that's true.
second.
I'm just saying that they don't stay
Yeah, I
consistent.
know. I'll address it. Now, weren't you here when we were talking about people asking about the shape of the Earth and how they insist on it must be some ideal geometry, like a fucking cube or a sphere or a pyramid, and that nothing in nature actually has any of these shapes?
Yeah, I came on top of it. I was just
Yeah, okay.
negating
So if
his
I asked you, if I
fears
told
were
you the Earth is the shape of a rock, what shape is that?
organic.
Yeah, what's the shape of a rock?
Organic.
It has no shape. It doesn't have any shape that you can describe. You could say, hey, that looks like a rock, but it doesn't actually have a shape. So when people ask us what's the shape of the Earth, they're basically saying, I'm a Platonist. I think that the universe only exists in ideal forms. And I think the Earth must be some sort of Platonic solid. That's what they're saying, but they don't know they're saying that. Now, the idea of the globe comes from Plato, was the first person to mention it. Maybe Pythagoras. There's some references that he mentioned it first. But it was Plato. He wrote in the dialogues of Timaeus that since the sphere was the most perfect shape, that the Earth must certainly be a sphere. Okay? And Copernicus, 1,000 years later, said the exact same thing in his Revolutions of the Heavenly Bodies, and he came up with the heliocentric model, at least the circular orbit one. The point is that the idea that the Earth's a globe comes from an aesthetic preference for Platonic forms, meaning shapes, meaning that there is no reality. It's called the ideal system, where there is no actual reality, that the only real reality is the world of ideas and ideal forms, in that the Earth must be one of these ideal forms, like a sphere or a cube or a pyramid or something like that. Well, it could just be nothing in nature is actually like that. So why should the Earth, which is natural, be like that? There's no reason for it to be like that.
Well, it just seems like, the Earth is a physical thing that physically
Yeah, but
exists, so it must have a physical shape. Like, what about
yeah,
like an
but that doesn't
inward?
mean that you have a
What about
word to describe that shape, dude. Did you even hear what I said? What's the shape of a rock?
yeah? Well, amorphous. A rock can have many different forms.
Amorphous isn't a shape, dude.
Obviously, you wouldn't.
See, what you're trying to do, you think we're
You're
naive.
gonna
You're just trying to
no,
infinite
no, no.
regression fallacy. You just ask. Just ask, hey, where's the edge? Just ask.
Well, I'm not saying anything about
Just
an
ask,
edge.
where's
I'm
the
just
edge,
saying
dude? Just get it out of your system.
if you're gonna ask me what shape a rock is, I'm gonna tell you what shape a particular rock is. I'm not gonna
You
like
wouldn't even be able to
you
tell me the
can't
shape of a
say
particular rock.
yeah, shaped like a rock.
A rock shape, which is no shape at all.
Yeah, I don't
Because
know,
rocks
man.
take infinite variety of forms, right?
I hear a lot of confidence. I don't hear a lot of logic in that though. Like what about like an
Everything I
inward
said is
facing
completely
sphere?
logical. Even this was even made out by Greek logicians way back to Zeno. So you can say it's not a lot of logic and say fucking buzzwords you think sound good, but you're full of shit. Rocks have infinite fucking forms. Can't say rock shape. That's just saying anything. You might as well say it's formless if you're going to say rock shape. We don't think the Earth is inside of something. So to be inside of something like an object, right? We don't think the Earth is like an object that like you could hold in your hand
Well,
if you were
I
to stretch
tried
it
I
out.
tried asking. I tried asking. So
Well,
are you
we don't
saying
think
that
the
like
Earth is like an object that's inside of something. Let me ask you this: what's the universe inside?
well that's why I was trying to ask. Would you think that it is perhaps an inward facing sphere and that
No,
there
it's
is
not a
some
sphere
point
at all.
and there is
It
some
can't
point
be a
in the
sphere
middle that
because the
bends
surface
light
of the
around
Earth
it?
isn't curving. Do you understand? A property of a sphere is that the surface is curving. An inverse sphere, a concave fucking sphere, the inside of a sphere, it has to curve. The surface of the Earth does not curve, so it can't be a sphere. Can't be. It can be anything else, but it can't be that.
So what's the angle on like it's not curved?
That if the most of the surface of the Earth is water, as far as we know. We can measure the surface of the Earth, oceans, rivers, lakes. In those surfaces, the surface of water does not curve. Okay, it's flat. It's measured flat. So if the
Yeah,
waters of the
what do you
world are
mean by that?
flat and the waters take up 70% of the world, then the world has to be flat.
What do you mean water is flat?
Water's flat, dude.
What do you mean? Like it goes level?
No, I didn't say level. It's flat.
Right. What do you
But yes,
mean
it
by
also
that?
is level.
What do you mean by it's flat?
Meaning it's vertical to You don't know what flat means, dude?
I know what
We're
flat
gonna
means.
get. You're gonna. Here we go
Flat's
into the
not really
gigantic
computing it.
fucking Bev bullshit. Okay, dude. Flat means there's nothing that's actually perfectly flat, obviously, because things are made of discrete freaking elements. Okay, like atoms and molecules. So, but we don't want to conflate flat with smooth. Flat is so that the vertical versus the horizontal size, length, distance, whatever you want to call it. It's so large, the proportion. So, for instance, the proportion of the vertical versus the horizontal, if the Earth is 193 million miles, square miles, and the biggest bump is 5 miles, the shit is smoother than a billiard ball. Okay? So that's what we're talking about, the ratio of the vertical to the horizontal.
Yeah. Okay.
It's flatter and smoother than any surface ever created by man. If you think about it, even if you had 50-foot wave heights across the entire ocean, it would still be the smoothest surface ever.
Yeah, no, I've heard that. It's like smoother than a ping pong ball.
Smoother than a billiard ball. It's smoother than any man-made surface. But that's not the point.
Well, I mean, I guess that kind of makes sense though, because if you think about it from the perspective of like everything is built up by, like atoms or molecules, right? Like obviously things that are of a smaller scale are going to have like a poorer resolution. So like the discrepancy of like one molecule on something the size of a ping pong ball is not going to be the same as the discrepancy of one molecule on something the scale of the Earth, right?
Yeah. So if you had a ping pong ball, the bumps would be smaller than the molecules on the surface of the ping pong ball. That's how smooth it is. Because you got to remember, we just have like most of the ocean, most of the Earth's surface is water, and the roughness is the waves. Let's say you have a fucking 3 meter average wave height. Well, I have a 3 meter wave height, and the fucking Atlantic Ocean is 5,000 miles across. Okay, that's pretty goddamn smooth.
Yeah.
So, but the point is that we can measure for curvature, we can test for curvature, because the drop that they say of a ball of 3,959 mile radius, the math comes out that the drop in 10 miles is 66 feet. So if you had a friend 10 miles away at the shore, on the shore of a lake, unless he's on top of a 66-foot ladder, you won't see him. Allegedly. But when you actually go out and do this test, you do see him.
That's weird. I wonder why that is.
Because the Earth is
Yeah.
flat. There's nothing to wonder.
Wait, didn't some guys do something exactly like what you're saying with a laser? And they're like, "Huh, that's not how it's supposed to be. It's
No.
supposed to be lower than that."
No, you're butchering it, brother. You're butchering your
No,
nonsense.
was that fake? You were
Was
getting
it fake?
excited
No,
earlier.
it wasn't. No, it what'd you say?
I said you were getting excited earlier when you were talking about the edge. What'd you want me to say about the edge?
Because you guys always try the infinite regression fallacy. Where's the edge? No one said there's an edge. Only you guys think there's an edge. Flat earthers don't think the Earth has an edge. Only globe earthers think the Earth has an edge.
What earthers?
Globe earthers?
Oh, okay,
Globe Earth?
okay.
Yeah, they think the Earth has an edge. They think they're standing on the edge.
Globetards.
The edge
Can I
meaning
play devil's
the
advocate
furthest
real
distance
quick
from the
with you?
center. No, not yet. I want to go back to the fucking the laser. Okay, so
Okay.
what you're talking about is the Netflix mockumentary. It's also been a TikTok freaking short. It's also been a freaking YouTube short. So there's a lot of freaking, I don't know what you want to call it, bullshit surrounding this. Wasn't a laser. They didn't measure that part where he says, "Oh, that's interesting." He said 4 hours before they ever even did the test, the people that freaking produced the video clipped that in to make him look like he was responding to the results of the test. He wasn't. They didn't use a laser because they melted the collimator on the laser from leaving it on too long, and they used the flashlight. And they tried to shine a flashlight through two 8-inch diameter holes across over land, which could be sloped, it could be anything, and tried to shine a flashlight through 2 holes. Now, obviously, this is fucking impossible over 1.6
Yeah.
kilometers. There'd be a freaking severe engineering task to even make that happen. Even if you had like fucking surveying equipment.
So hold on,
And
they had the
surveyed for
tool
fucking 3 months.
they needed, and then they broke it so that they could do the experiment with like the wrong tools.
Well, I mean, a collimator attaches to a laser, and if you leave it on too long, it'll get hot because it's focusing the laser, and what they did is they ended up melting it. Now,
Oh,
I don't know. I'm not Jaren.
Would a
Jaren's a
regular
fucking
laser
idiot.
pointer not work?
Look, the test couldn't have worked anyway, no matter what they did. And I'll tell you why. It's too hard to align the holes, number one. Number two, it couldn't have worked because there's something called diffraction. When light passes through a small aperture or hole, also known as a hole, it spreads out again. So the laser would have became became uncollimated, right? So all they would have got is a dispersed fucking light anyway. It was ill-conceived. I don't know why the guy ever thought of it. It was just dumb to even try that. It was a dumb experiment. And it was only 1.6 kilometers, which is nothing. We have 800-mile Laura chirped fucking radio. So LoRa radio is like a half a watt chirped radio transmission. We have there's an 800 mile over the ocean surface. So it's a buoy and a ship talking to each other over LoRa 800 miles away. Now, if the Earth was a ball, there'd be freaking something like 150 miles of fucking Earth curve between the two fucking points. That's right, 150 mile hump of fucking water between them. 10,000 mile radio transmissions. There's fucking 50-mile long distance, even Chicago skyline, 275-kilometer Alps to the Pyrenees to the Alps, and vice versa. Looking back, there's so much flat Earth proof that I don't even know where to start.
Yeah, so you're
That's
not
just-
familiar with the concept of propaganda? Like, we get it that you saw something that made you feel like you could stick with the mainstream story. So what we're telling you is propagandists made a piece and edit it together to make it tell the story that they wanted to tell, which just so happens to
I
be.
heard the other guy when he said it.
Yeah,
And they
okay,
admitted
so
why
yeah,
they did
so
it too, by the way. Just
yeah,
for the
so
record, they admitted they did it because when the flat earthers when they were interviewing them, they started talking about their children. They felt a moral duty to make the flat earthers look bad because they didn't want children to start believing in flat earth. This is what they said, the producers.
So what he's telling you is it's been repeated thousands of times and shown that when you measure it, there's no curve, and you could repeat it yourself. So if you saw some story on TV that was just trying to reiterate what the military industrial educational complex has been trying to brainwash you with since birth, you can discard that because you could go out and test it for yourself if you cared enough.
Okay, so like if you have just like a really powerful telescope, then you should be able to see any point of the planet from any other point.
Holy
You're not on a planet A, and why would you be able to do that? Do you have a weather app on your phone?
Yeah, you said
Yeah, it has a
you're saying there's no
visibility.
curve.
The visibility doesn't say freaking 25,000 miles, dude. It says 10 miles. The air's opaque, dude, at long distances. Can't
Yeah,
see
you're
far.
talking about the atmospheric stuff, right? Makes the mountains look
Yeah, the
blue.
air's opaque at long distances. Even according to like even a model of the air, the furthest you could possibly see it through sea level air is 296 kilometers because the air would absorb all the light.
So are you going to concede that the Netflix mockumentary is not a valid source of proof of curvature, Wake?
No, I'm not gonna concede that because I don't know that for a fact. I know that you guys are saying it, and I'm operating on that being true for the purpose of the conversation.
Well, what did you rely on with them? How did you evaluate them?
Nothing more or less. I'm as cautious of them as I am of people telling me that it's not true.
What? That makes no sense.
I'm saying I don't trust either one of you. I'm taking it just as a data point.
Look,
Okay.
You guys seem
someone
to
else
think I
say
care.
something, dude. Before I
You
start.
seem to think I care a lot more about the Netflix thing. I didn't even know it was a Netflix thing. I don't
No,
really care.
no.
about it.
It's just like it's annoying because we've done so many laser tests, and then we have to hear about that shit, which wasn't even a laser. But so here's the funny thing: in the documentary, they never even say it's a laser. That's the funny thing. But for some reason, on the internet, when I talk to people about it, they all think it's a laser, even though they never said it. So why would people do that? Why do
They
you
don't
think,
like you- they don't
even
like you
without
personally.
prodding, right? Even without prodding or being told, or even being said on the internet, that people make up in their head that it's a laser?
Yeah, man. I don't know. I think
That's
I
very
remember it being-
strange. I mean, you just did
Yeah.
it.
I'm remembering it as being read, but I don't know. I haven't seen the clip in a long time. It's something I saw a long time ago. Also, like this doesn't need to be like adversarial. I'm not trying to prove you wrong or anything. I'm just
No,
asking because I want to understand
I'm
what you
not being
believe.
adversarial. I'm just pointing out, like, listen, there's a lot of cognitive dissonance associated with this. I just pointed out that you did something that you didn't even realize you were
Hello?
doing.
I'm
Are you
sorry.
fucking rude, dude?
Yo, chill.
No, shut your fucking hole, dude.
No, shut your fucking hole. Yeah, just say hello. I joined.
I know, but first you listen, see if somebody's talking, and then you speak. You just don't freaking join a voice chat yelling. Anyway,
Okay.
the point
Here,
is,
if I could.
go ahead, Tetsu.
Yeah. So, Wake, you're saying that you're not adversarial, and yet you ask a question about something that you saw maybe on Netflix that apparently proves that the Earth is curved according to you or what
I
you
saw it on even
perceived.
less than Netflix. I only ever saw a YouTube short. Like I said, I'm not coming in here saying one thing or another. I'm genuinely curious about what you guys believe.
Well, instead of leading off with something that would only assume that the only man in history to prove that there is Earth curve is a washed up YouTuber, you must have something better than that, right?
Yeah, so let me just say, because I feel like this is something that maybe needs to be said. I didn't realize that. I thought they were like adults that could just have a conversation. I understand that you guys have probably a lot of baggage dealing with people that come in and bag on you and think that you're dumb for believing something different. I'm just curious
Nope,
what you
that's
believe
not
and
the
why.
problem. You're wrong.
That's not the case.
Well,
It's your
that's great.
That's not
passive
the
That's
case.
aggressive phoniness. That's what it is.
I'm Well, but I know I'm not being passive aggressive because I'm genuinely just wanting to know what you guys believe. That's why I'm asking questions.
Okay, so let's do this. Let's do this. Just and for the fucking peace of all people, we're gonna reset, push the reset button. We're gonna start over, and all ideas
Can I
of ill will and bad feelings are gonna dissipate instantaneously. Poof! See, there they go. So says who? Continue your whatever you were doing.
Oh,
No,
can I
that's it. That's all I wanted to mention. Hold on, Super. That's all I wanted to mention. We can't base what we believe on something that we saw on YouTube necessarily. That was a hit piece, right? So let's go ahead and deal with what's empirical. We can test and reproduce something that's repeatable. That would be the best way to attack this particular topic. Let's do what's empirical. Let's forget about propaganda. How about we all just agree on that? You think so?
Yeah.
Okay. No, great.
All right,
I'll
that's
let
a
Indio
victory.
go.
Also, is
So
it okay if or
yeah, you can
does
put in
anyone
your
else have any
3
pieces?
cents. Go ahead. If it's on topic,
Um,
sure.
yeah, of course. I'm always on topic, even though I might tangent. Um, and everyone can interject if they disagree afterwards, but to play a devil's advocate, but to help Wake in 420, I guess, separate a little bit from the idea of the globe, since looking for proof of the globe. If you do want to think about the globe itself, even current philosophers or scientists working on it currently say that the globe is inaccurate. You can even quote Neil D. Tyson. He mentioned it. I know people have feelings about him. Even I have feelings about him. But even with his studies and other studies I can bring up, what they are pushing now, the globe they say is completely inaccurate. Nothing about it is accurate, and they changed the script over to it being a pair. You can both look that up, Wake in 420, to what the current opposite idea of the shape of the earth is being said to be currently from the other side. And it's not even the spear that they've been telling us the whole time. The globe that they've been showing us the whole time, they are currently canceling that idea and changing it again. So knowing that we're still constantly changing the idea of what the globe even is, can we just all agree that the globe is bullshit? Because even the people who claim that the globe wasn't bullshit are currently calling it bullshit. Nobody is saying
Actually,
the globe is good anymore.
Well, I don't think it's a big
actually,
stretch to go from a sphere to an oblate spheroid.
They
actually,
said that the
bullshit.
top.
Yeah, it's a little
they said
stretch,
that-
Funny
11-mile
nature.
stretch.
Yeah, they said that the top is flat. They said that the middle is stretched out, and they said the bottom is like a round butt. So I think that's a big stretch.
They said the top is flat.
Yeah, they said that the
It-
top was flat. You can look it up. They said the top was flatter. They said the middle where the equator was like stretched out. Neil deGrasse Tyson mentioned he used this odd analogy. He said if you have pizza dough and you spun it in the air, the edges get stretched out and the middle gets flat. Don't know why he used that analogy, but he said it's the same concept.
He was hungry.
But you can look it up. He spoke on a panel in front of people, and he said this. So, and also you can look up different scientific graphs as well of them changing it over to this pair theory. So it's not even like you can consistently say the globe is correct because everyone on
Yeah.
both sides says it's not. So I say that you can open up your ears and be open to anything at this point.
I mean,
Yeah,
disproving the globe is
picture.
simple.
The picture they have for the pear-shaped Earth looks fucking retarded.
Yeah.
But that's what
does.
he said. You see what I mean?
So we don't need though there is no proof for the globe. In fact, you can't even form a statement that would be considered any type of logical proof that would support the globe. For a simple reason that there's nothing you can actually observe on the Earth that would indicate that it's a globe. The globe is
So-
based completely upon the sky. It's not based
Yeah.
upon anything on the
So
ground.
what if you were to build a pipeline that ran like north, south, east, west, and connected all the way around? Would that would that change
All the way
that you-
around?
Yeah,
No.
all the way around, connected.
No, because east and west are circles.
So you would think it would just be two overlapping like circle
No,
pipelines?
First of all, I don't know how this is like a hypothetical that can never be done.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
it's like we're trying to stay in the real world here, in what we can actually do. There's only one way. I mean, I know it's like seems so simple to you. Oh my God, that's too simple. You can't just measure the curve of the Earth. How does that going to prove a globe or not to prove the Earth flat or a globe? Because that's the only thing that can't work in either one, right? Almost all things, no matter what you do, you can bring up maps, you can bring up flight routes, you can bring up freaking oil wells, you can bring up almost anything. And it can work in either a flat Earth or a globe. But the one thing that can't work in flat Earth or a globe is the surface of the Earth, right? So a property of a sphere is that it's equidistant from the center. Well, a straight line can't be equidistant from a point. The center being a point, right? A straight line can't be equidistant from a point. So you can know for certain, you can definitely delineate one or the other by a simple test of whether the surface is curving. That's why we choose this. That's why we want to do this, because it proves one or the other than speculating about, well, it could be a globe. This is how this particular measurement would work on a globe, but it could also work on a flat Earth too if you assume this other thing, right? We're trying to get rid of the assumptions. We're trying to get rid of the faulty logic. We're trying to just peel all that away. And if you start and try to rebuild this idea, right, what's the Earth from first principles? Just first principles. What do we do first? Let's observe it. Let's observe the Earth. What does it look like? Oh shit, it looks flat. Okay, why can't I just stop there and go, okay, it looks flat because it is flat? Oh, because I can imagine it's something else that's gigantic. It's so gigantic that it's flat. Okay, fine. I can imagine it being something else. Let's test my imagination. And we can go out there and we can measure the surface of the Earth. And we can measure that it's not curving. And that I can see 52 miles across Lake Michigan to the Chicago skyline. That I can see the French Alps from the fucking Pyrenees 275 miles away. Right? That I can see freaking Cabo San Lucas from an airplane 780 miles away. Right? None of these should be possible. They can take a laser to Great Salt Lakes and shine it 21 miles, or I can take it to Lake IJsselmeer in the Netherlands and beam it and shine it freaking 25 miles. And that, like, I can shine lasers all over the place, and they're never running into the curve of the Earth for some reason.
Yeah, well, I mean, looking at this like retarded shaped Earth, I almost wonder if like depending on where you would do your laser test, you would get different results if it's this fucking like chop.
Well, I mean, okay, so according to the globe Earth, right, gravity conforms water into the shape of a ball, right?
Yeah,
So that's where the curve is going to be, 100%. Gravity's going to curve the water, right? You don't have to worry about frickin' changes of elevation. You don't have to worry about a slope. You don't have to worry about frickin' mountainous terrain, right? Just go to the water. Water's got to be curving. Right? That's all. And people will come in here, and I'm just telling this for your benefit. People will come in here and they'll bring up things like, what about the Coriolis effect? What about orbits? What about satellites? What about this? What about that? What about all these things, right? Why does the Earth look like a ball from space? Well, if the Earth looks like a ball from space, if I come down out of space and come to the surface of the Earth, I should be able to measure curve.
well, I was gonna ask about the Coriolis effect. What's the explanation that you guys
Doesn't
have for
actually
that?
exist.
But don't
It's
like snipers have
it's
to
an
take that into
idea. It doesn't
consideration?
actually exist in nature. There's no measurements of it actually existing. That's the thing. This is one of the things that sounds good on the surface, and people think because there's a hypothesis about it that the hypothesis has been confirmed, but it isn't, because the Coriolis is an apparent deflection. It's not an actual deflection. So what you have is a rotating reference frame. That would be the Earth. And if you're outside that rotating reference frame, like in the sky, right,
Yeah,
you would see a bullet that was shot, which is in the what's called a non-inertial reference frame, right? The bullet's not on the ground anymore. The bullet's going straight. But if you're on the surface of the Earth in the rotating reference frame, like on a merry-go-round, and you throw a ball, the ball is going straight. But to you, from your point of view, it appears like it's curving. Understand?
yeah.
Because
And what
you're
about
rotating, right? So this
yeah,
effect doesn't actually exist. They don't account for it in artillery. They don't account for it in any of that crap. First of all, the effect wouldn't be enough to even have to account for it in artillery. It's so small. Even if you shoot 30,000 meters, it isn't even enough to even account for it, to need to account for it. Because the imprecision of the weapon is greater than the correction. Right? If you don't know where the thing's going to land within a 250-yard circle, a fucking 9-meter correction isn't really going to help you. It doesn't
yeah,
matter one way or another whether you correct or not. You can't even
right.
control a 250-yard fucking circle.
And what's the angle for like stars? Like what is a star?
What do you mean? It's
Like the
composition?
stars
So
in the
this is the two
sky.
things. We see stars, right? We see stars, we see planets, we see the sun, we see the moon, right? See all these celestial objects. Okay. Now, they exist. We see them. We named them. Humanity named them. We gave them names.
Yeah,
That doesn't mean that we believe what they say they're made out of, how far away they are, what they're doing, how old they are, all the stories they tell about what the stars are, as if somehow they're different than 2,000 years when they were making up stories about the stars.
yeah.
None of those stories, none of
Do you
those
believe you
stories
can
can be
physically
confirmed.
reach them?
Do I think you can reach them? I
Yeah,
don't think so, but that would be speculation. I don't think so. You definitely can't reach them in the heliocentric paradigm because the closest star is 4 light years away.
yeah,
And if you were going the speed of like what they said they launched Voyager, right, fastest object ever shot, that's not going to reach what would be equivalent to the closest star for 150,000 years. So, can we reach them? Even in the heliocentric model, you're never going to reach them. So, like whatever theory we have or hypothesis we have about their composition, age, all those things, how they work, we're never going to actually know because we're never going to actually get there to confirm any of that crap. I don't think we're going to be here in fucking 150,000 years. at fucking Alpha Centauri, where the catcher's mitt ready to catch Voyager.
Also, to add on to Indio's point, if you like some more, I guess, grounded stuff, Wake, PBS dropped an article a couple years back that NASA came out and they mentioned that the humans for going to space was never actually a thing. The farthest we reached is considered still the sky. I can link that article in the website. Oh, sorry, the Discord, like little sidebar. But yeah, they confirmed a couple years ago we never reached true space. Oh, what they say space is. We've only been to the sky. So it's like the concept of being able to do stars and stuff. It's like, bro, we haven't even been to space. We've only been in our sky.
Yeah. So there's also we have NSA documents when NASA was created, saying that NASA was created to project to project power and influence around the world, so that no competitors would arise. Right? They wanted to project the idea that we were that the United States was so technologically superior that they could not challenge us. These are all National Security Council fucking documents from the founding of NASA, of why they created NASA. It was a propaganda operation. Did you know that NASA is now since Doofus in the chat? So did you know that NASA now is officially a spy agency? Officially. Did you know that, Dud? That NASA is officially a spy agency now? So Trump cited an executive order about 3 months ago now, I think it is, or 4 months ago. It's on the White House website, executive order, made NASA's primary function intelligence, counterintelligence, and national security issues. That's their primary function. Oh, Dud is probably crying in his frickin' soup right now. Yeah, that's right, bro. It's officially a spy agency. NASA, you just replaced CIA with NASA.
Yeah, I just searched like fastest known object. Well, what are you using for the fastest object?
They said last I knew it was Voyager 2.
I'm seeing Parker Solar Probe getting speeds of like 394,000
new?
miles per hour.
Yeah, where's that at?
I'm not sure
Is that the
how
one?
new
That's
that
the one
is.
they said they shot into the sun, right?
Yeah, that could be.
Yeah, I'm sure they measured that really carefully. Look, I don't think there's any satellites in space. I think it's all hogwash. I'm just saying, in that paradigm, in that story, Voyager, even so, there's something called an internal critique. I don't know if you're aware of that. So you can internally critique a worldview without adopting it, and to check it for consistency. So in that worldview, in the worldview of a heliocentric model and stars and Big Bang universe and all that crap, even in that worldview, you can never reach a star because it's too far away. Within the modern physics worldview paradigm, whatever you want to call it, mainstream, call it what you want. Within that paradigm, no one's ever going to a star. And honestly, in that paradigm, like 99.99999999999% of humanity will never go to outer space. They'll never see the Earth as a globe, ever. Only on a screen. So, anyway, I was doing first principles. First principle is we observe the Earth is flat and motionless. That's what you do in science, right? The first thing you do is you make an observation of the natural world, and the observation is the Earth is flat and motionless. Now, that as it is, it should just stand that the Earth is flat and motionless until someone actually goes and measures the curve or measures motion, which no one's ever done either one of those things. But instead, a story's been told to humanity, and a significant portion of humanity has adopted this belief as their own, and to such an extent they think that they know the Earth is a globe, but they know no such thing. because they have no experience from which that knowledge would have came, right? You don't, I don't, no one in this chat don't, no one's ever experienced the Earth as a globe. They've seen it on TV, maybe. They've seen it on a screen. They've seen a picture in a book. They've imagined it in their mind, but they don't remember it. There's nowhere in their memory that they can search where they go, yeah, remember when I saw the world as a globe? Yeah, no, they don't have that memory. So they don't have that experience. They don't have that knowledge. They just have a belief. And that's where most, even if you believe, and here's another internal critique, even if you believe the mainstream paradigm, there's only 2 people left in the world because all the other Apollo astronauts are dead. So there's 2 living Apollo astronauts. They're the only 2 people that have seen the Earth as a ball. 2 people left. ISS astronauts, ISS only would see 3% of the Earth from their elevation, their altitude. So they can't say that they've seen the Earth as a ball. They're only seeing a little tiny portion of the Earth's surface. So the only people that said they can, the Apollo clowns that claim they went to the moon, there's only 2 of those guys left. So 2 people out of the 9 billion people on the Earth claim that they've seen the Earth as a ball. 2 people. I mean, if you want to hitch your wagon to that, go right ahead. Look at Dud coping hard. Dudix, man, you're coping hard, man. Now you're going to make me post the executive order. Made me do it. I mean, my philosophy is I'm a direct realist. I believe we actually can trust our senses. I believe that's not to say they're infallible. Nothing about human beings is infallible. We can trust our senses even more than our mind. And that the way the world appears is the way it actually is. I don't think it's an illusion. I don't think, though we cannot perceive everything, the things we can't perceive are of no consequence to our existence. Doesn't matter if I can perceive x-rays or not. X-rays don't matter to anything in my life unless a man makes x-rays and beams me with them. You understand? Like, so all the electromagnetic spectrum that we can't see, or like, it has no effect on us. That the senses that we have are good enough to have long, fulfilling lives. All that other mental masturbation, freaking quarks, fucking muons, protons, it's just a bunch of mental masturbation. And take it from someone who's a freaking uber nerd, dude, that studied that shit for 30 years, 40 years. It's trash. It's freaking literally fiction, dude. It's just a mind virus. It just eats your mind. Has little connection to actual reality of what men and women experience. Modern day bread and circus is fucking Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Hey, Indio, I have a question for you.
Just a moment. Whoever said hello, welcome.
Hi.
Go ahead.
I
Yeah, I
lost
hear
my
you.
train of thought. Oh, I was thinking, I wanted to ask you, how did you feel about the firmament? Like, what are your thoughts on it?
I mean, firmament just means expanse of the sky. That's all that word means. The dome of the sky, the expanse of the sky. It doesn't literally mean there's some physical frickin' dome. It just means that when it says firmament, it means that the stars are fixed within it. So the idea that there was nested spheres, that the planets were in their own sphere, right, and then that the stars were fixed in their own sphere, right. That's why they call it firmament, fixed. within the sky.
So what do you reckon the highest you can go is before some force stops you, and what is that force that stops you?
Well, I don't know if it would be a force. Forces are like conceptual. They don't actually exist but I would guess probably can't get much higher than 150 kilometers. I would say 110 kilometers. Somewhere in there, between 100 and 150. The problem is I do not think you can thrust in a vacuum. In fact, I don't think outer space exists at all because of the second law of thermodynamics prohibits such a thing from existing. You know, Aristotle said nature abhors a vacuum, and for some reason, you know, everybody forgot that. So we have gas pressure. Let's give you the rundown. We got gas pressure on Earth. I'm breathing right now, 15 psi gas pressure. Right? Well, how can that gas pressure be adjacent to the vacuum? And they'll say, well, there's a gradient. Well, that's fine. How do you have a gradient of gas pressure? Because I can take a vacuum chamber, cylinder, as high as you want it to be, 1,000 feet tall, 10,000 feet tall, doesn't matter. We can evacuate it so it's a vacuum. We're going to have it on the surface of the Earth where the gravity is the strongest. And if I put gas inside of that, it's not going to sink to the bottom because of gravity. The Earth is not going to hold the gas to the bottom of the chamber, away from the vacuum, the top of the vacuum chamber, which is vacuum, away from the vacuum, and create a atmospheric gradient within the vacuum chamber. No, the gas is going to disperse equally in all directions, and it's going to until it reaches thermodynamic equilibrium. Okay, this is in accordance with all the gas laws, the kinetic theory of gases. And if this wasn't true, okay, you'd need to add gravity to the phase diagram, because how much gravity there was would affect how fast water boils, when things become solid, because the gravity would be doing thermodynamic work.
Well,
right?
But does not water boil at a lower point at higher altitudes?
That's because of pressure.
Yeah, but and
That's
again,
because
that
of gravity.
pressure is because of the gradient that you were talking about, right? Like when you have again, it's about scale. It's like, yeah, if you have an object as small, if all objects are built of like building blocks, like molecules or atoms or whatever, then you're going to have fewer molecules making up a ping pong ball than you are going to have making up something the size of the Earth. And that difference in scale means that like the difference in however many molecules on each surface is going to be like completely different. It'll be very noticeable on the smaller object. It'll be barely noticeable on the larger one. The same thing with if you're talking about like the atmosphere having a gradient. That's literally like the ocean, right? Like you can dive in the ocean, you're totally fine. But if you go down real far, all that extra water above you is pushing down on you.
Brother, can I ask? You mentioned something, and I don't want you to skip past it. Okay, you said pressure. You keep saying pressure, right? Yeah, we go up, and there's less pressure, right?
Yes.
Where does that pressure?
Because there's less.
Whoa, whoa! Hold on. Yeah. There's all this pressure. Where does that pressure come from? We are talking calmly, and I know my mic is probably just kind of abrasive.
So when you're at the surface,
wait. Just
this is the entirety of the atmosphere above you pushing down.
Why do you keep talking over it?
I just want to just say one thing.
I'm asking where the pressure came
from. No. But before we go on, just you and me, just between you and me, I know that I'm on a Bluetooth mic, so my voice is really abrasive. And I know I sound kind of harsh, but don't take me that way. Is that fair?
All right.
Okay. I'm not coming at you. I promise. I just sound harsh. My mic sucks. So you have pressure. Do you know what pressure is defined as?
What's it defined as?
Okay, in physics, the pressure is defined by the collisions of the gas molecules with each other and the walls of the container. Okay? This is in physics. So, no matter what, no matter any way that you're going to describe pressure, you're going to be involving a container in what you're talking about because we don't have any example where pressure is created without containment.
Okay.
The idea behind the globe is that there's no container and yet we have pressure. And we're asking how come? Because there's apparently this ever expanding volume called the universe. It's always expanding. There's a huge vacuum. It's this open area, open space for the gas to fill. And it's not doing it. There's a ton of kinetic energy in the gas that's produced on the earth. And gas goes freely and randomly in all directions, and it fills available volume. In fact, it seeks out the area that has the lowest pressure, meaning the most open space. That's what gas molecules do. That's called entropy. So if that is what we know, and you're describing pressure, there's a disconnect because all of that gas is going to find the most open available volume to be into. That means that there would be no pressure. That means that there would be the same pressure in deep space as there was on the surface of the Earth at all times. Gas fills space, equalizes pressure. That's just what we know. So if we have pressure, there's a problem. We should have 10 to the negative 17 torr on the surface of the Earth.
He can't do that though
Okay.
because he's on.
Well, I mean, I think I would just think about that as like it's a gravitational container. Like if everything is being pulled to a central point, then that kind of still functions
Okay.
as a form of containment.
Okay. Yeah, no, I get you. Okay, that's the next place to go. So from the heliocentric paradigm, they dictate, they say, right? They say that there's this force that would be Newtonian gravitation. The idea that mass, which is undefined in physics, mass attracts things. So we have something that has no definition and it attracts things. That makes no sense. But ultimately, what you're actually trying to describe is not Newtonian, but Einsteinian mathematics, conceptual ideas, where mass, which is undefined, usually they conflate it with weight, okay, is warping these other two concepts called space and time. A space-time fabric is how it's reified. And that mass, that weight, is deforming the space-time fabric, and everything is flowing towards this central point within the gravity well in the fabric. And they demonstrate this in a classroom with kids, and they go, look, we've got this trampoline or this big rug. And the whole time, they're using a downward vector on Earth, which we experience. I'm not going to deny that, right? Like, we all live in air. You and me, we live in the region of the air. We have to breathe it. We're not fish, so we're up here in the air. And if you take a solid object in the air and you let go of it, it will go downward. That's the observation, right? Okay? We both agree on this. No problem. And they take that same principle and they put this frickin' bowling ball on the fabric or on the trampoline, and then they take like a marble and you can see that depression, right, in the fabric. And you're like, oh yeah, cool. And they'll take a marble and they'll throw it in the rug or the fabric or the sheet or the trampoline, and it'll kind of spin around, right? And they give you this perception of what's actually going on. The whole time they haven't bothered to remind you that space and time are both concepts. They're not real. And so you can't warp them. But they're giving you a magic trick to look at and say, this is our reality. when the whole time you forgot that when you're in the air, because you breathe the air, you'll drop a solid object, right? And it will go down. Yes, we observe that. Now, if we change the medium, and just follow me for a second, we change the medium. Now I'm not any longer in the air. I'm in a pool. I'm in a pool, and I take solid objects of all different kinds. I could take a rock, and I'll let go of it. And in the water, it will kind of float down. Everybody's observed this. If they've ever gone swimming or been in a lake, right? Like the rock will kind of slowly descend. It'll kind of wobble back and forth depending on the shape of it. We know this. And then we'll grab different things. And then all of a sudden we'll grab a piece of wood. And we'll take the piece of wood and we'll drop it, and it floats at the top of the water. And you go, oh yeah, of course, it's less dense. And you push it towards the bottom of the lake, towards the ground, where gravity's supposed to be. And the block of wood comes back up. Why? Well, because there's a relationship in densities of objects and the medium that they're in. There's a relationship. So, yeah, in the air, a lot of stuff goes down, except for when you grab gas. Oh, gas is really hard to grab. We actually have to put it in containers. You can't do that. You can't make pressure without containment. The gas is moving freely and randomly in all directions, but it's under pressure. And if you realize that if you have a vacuum chamber and you have water in the vacuum chamber and you start to draw pressure out, the water turns to gas and evaporates and leaves the chamber too. So you have a void, a volume where there's very little air. There's still air in there. There's pressure. You can put a gauge on it. It's really hard to create a vacuum because nature freaking hates that. There's a saying that nature abhors a vacuum, right? So it's always trying to get in there. So you live in a pressurized system. Any void, gas is trying to fill it. If the void is outer space, the gas is trying to fill it. If we have pressure here, we're under containment. Solid objects, for the most part, through air go downward. If you change the medium to water, things start to not do the same thing. Some things will go up. We have helium balloons that go up in air. There's this density column that we live in. But it's all vertical and horizontal. It's flat, right? Horizontal and vertical. It's all flat. It's all we experience. So I know you'll go down every road. You'll go down, oh, the gravity's holding the gas in. Well, no, because if we create two chambers, and in the bottom of one chamber, we have gas pressure, and we have a chamber on top of that one, and there's a little doorway called a valve, right? If we have a valve, and there's a vacuum on the top and pressure on the bottom, and you open that valve, the gas goes and equalizes with the vacuum above it, and pressure stabilizes. That's what entropy does. So there is no reason for us. No, there's no scale, because guess what? There's no force of gravity that can be detected, and there's no space-time fabric. Those things are concepts and pseudoscience.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about the two vacuum container things. It's like, yes, I agree that's what would happen, right? But again, it's the scale of the thing, and it's I mean, I guess if you don't acknowledge gravity as a thing, if you don't think that's a reality, then I can see that complicating explaining it.
So it's not a matter of me accepting the idea. I understand the idea. I get the concept. I mean, I explained it to you fairly well. I get the concept completely. The problem is that, number one, I don't have any scientific experiment in the history of all mankind to validate the ideas, either one of them. These are the most two common ones. Okay, you would be shocked to know it, but there's probably more than 80 theories about what gravity is. Are you aware of that?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's 80. And then we have the two most
the thing
ones.
is, if we knew what gravity was, we'd be using it. You know what I mean?
We do use it. We use it every day. You want to know what we use?
I mean, like using it to get around.
No, listen. We do. I'll tell you what we use. You ready? We don't use it big G. Big G is the idea behind the observed phenomena. The observed phenomena is things go down in air at an average. Okay, actually, this is in a vacuum. An average rate, because not all elements fall at the same rate within the vacuum. You should be surprised to know, but an average rate of 9.8 meters per second squared, 9.8 meters per second in a vacuum as an average. This is what we observe. So in the medium of a vacuum, this is how fast things go down. Now, if we take those same elements and we put them in water, we would be discussing how fast most of the things go up. It's all medium dependent. There is no downward exclusive vector. Things go up and down depending on the medium. That's it. That's the observed phenomena. And they're trying to give us some kind of nonsensical explanation for why this happens, and they can't do it. They're just guessing. What actually is happening is the gas is moving. Yeah. The gas is moving freely and randomly in all directions, bro. There's no gravity. It's going up and down and all around. There's no gravity. Sorry. We're in a pressurized system. That's the way it is. I'm not denying anything. I'm actually hoping for someone to give me a gosh damn answer about why nature is the way it is, and they're just going, I don't know. Neil deGrasse, Michio Kaku, all these dudes, they're just like, I don't know. You want to know what they're telling you? This is the observed phenomena. Things go up and down based on the environment or the medium that they're in, and that's what we know. We're trying to give you a reason as to why that happens, but we don't have one. But hey, look, NASA photos, and hey, look, I'm dropping a microphone in air, by the way, and I'm showing you the scam. There's no gravity. There's none. We have relative density. They call it Archimedes' principle. It's been around forever. We actually already have what gravity is. It's what we observe. That's it.
And it's reproducible. It's testable, right? Measurable.
Yeah.
It's
So-
you can
so what is it
demonstrate
then?
that using the scientific method, right? You can say why is that egg floating, or no, why is it sunken to the bottom and not floating at the top? Just change the medium, the density of it, right, to salt water. Pop up it goes.
So what is the downward force then?
Hold on a second. There isn't one. So you're asking, in air, why does stuff go down? I'm going to ask you the same question. Why in water do most things go up?
Because they're less dense than the water.
There you go. It's the same thing, dude. It's the same thing. Now, if you want to ask me personally, I'm not speaking for anybody else in this VC, okay? Just you and me. We have laws of nature, okay? We have the first law, which is essentially matter cannot be created nor destroyed. I think most people understand that. These are laws of nature. These are the things that we just observed. Everything changes states, and it seems like it all kind of recycles, okay? So matter can change states, but it can't be created, nor can it be destroyed. We just have what we have. That's the first law. We just observe that. Number two, high pressure goes to low pressure over time. That's the idea. That I try to make this really simple for people. Over time, we see this degression or an attempt by nature to equalize pressure and heat, mostly. That's what we're talking about. These are energy states. So, when you get your coffee in the morning and you bring it in and you're sipping it and it's really hot and you're like, oh, damn, I don't want to. It's too hot. And then if some time goes by and it's a little cool and you're like, okay, I can tolerate it and it's good. And then, 10 minutes go by and you're like, oh, it's about to that point where I don't want to drink it anymore because cold coffee sometimes is nasty. But if we put it over ice and add some sugar and some cream, it's not that bad. Right. So you're at that point and you're like, I'm going to freshen this up. I'm going to throw this out and get warmer coffee. That's because the high energy state always tries to equalize with the low energy state. There's always there's a balance that's trying to be established in nature. This is just what we observe. It's a law. We can't change it. We don't even know why. It just happens. It almost seems like it's by design. And I think that this idea, we call it the law of gravity. Everybody talks about the law of gravity. And we all sort of like understand it where we're like, one thing moves towards another thing, but usually we think of it in a vertical relationship. I think there is a vertical relationship between items within their particular medium, and they have this relationship. Wood in water floats. Rocks in air, they sink, and so that they do it in water too. But if you get mercury is a really dense liquid metal, and you can float an anvil in mercury. So there are things that are so dense that they will support cast iron, okay? So everything is based on this law of a vertical relationship of the item and the medium that it's in, and then when it hits another solid, it stops. That's what we see. It seems to me that that is just the relationship. It's like a law of nature, and we call it the law of gravity. And someone's all like, yeah, but it's the bending and warping of space-time. They're full of shit.
Okay, so even with that model, then if you've got like you've got air, you've got water, and then you've got Earth. Is there anything above air or below Earth?
I don't know. That's the fun part about this whole thing. What I can tell you is that air needs containment to have pressure. So whatever is above us, okay, and Indio talked about this before. I don't know what it looks like. Dome, blah blah blah. Who knows? It looks like a cake top. It could look like a tetrahedron or whatever the hell it is. I don't care what it looks like. We have pressure. So what is it made of? I don't know. How high is it? But we have pressure. And we understand that pressure needs containment. And yes, it can be more at the surface level and less at the top, because number one, we have a dynamic system. Number two, most of the gases that we breathe are circled around water. Like the oceans are the thing that circulate and process and create the most gas. And the trees, they kind of filter it, blah, blah, blah. But most of our oxygen, the breathable air, all the gases, everything that's circulated, everything that comes from the surface, we actually have pockets of gas that are being released from the surface constantly. Like it all happens down here, so there's more pressure here. This is where most of the temperature is. There's more surface area. That's why we have more pressure. Up top, not so much, and it's colder. And there's a relationship between the pressure and the temperature. It's this just varying scale, but it's still under pressure. We still have the oceans. They haven't evaporated off into space, which is exactly what they should do. Everything is going to go back to its gaseous state and try to fill the available volume at 10 to the negative 17 torr. It's ridiculous. It's a bad idea. Doesn't make sense. It's a lie.
Yeah, there's almost a triad relationship between the states of matter, because one can't really exist in the form that it does without the other being at a certain consistency or pressure, temperature, etc. Right? And the triple point demonstrates how there's an optimal environment within which all three states of matter can exist simultaneously. And the way that they demonstrate it to physics students in classrooms, guess how? In a container. You can't demonstrate it any other way.
Yeah. But yeah, man, this is just how we all experience the Earth, right? And the scientific communicators, everybody is actually sort of admitting that they're just throwing stuff at the wall and hoping it sticks. Like there is no established cause of vectors of objects within mediums, period. There's nothing that you can point to. We're talking about relative density, but that's not a cause, it's a description. People talk about like putting salt in a container, like, so you can take an egg and you can put it in a glass of water and it'll sink to the bottom, and if you pour salt into the water, it makes it more saline and more dense, in the same way that like the Great Salt Lake or the Black Sea or the Dead Sea or whatever it is, they're so saline that you don't even have, like, you almost have to force yourself to sink. The more saline the medium or the water, the more dense it is. And so you can do this with like a glass of water with an egg in it and add a bunch of salt, and then the egg will eventually float. Okay, so you're like, oh, well, that's a scientific experiment. I've proven that density create some kind of action. It's like, no, actually, you've just changed the description. It's like you've changed the description of what the medium is. It's like, okay, so it's more dense, but density doesn't cause things. It's just a description. What is the cause of it? There's no way to determine that because the pressure is equal, like all the way around the object in the medium. And I'll give you a perfect example of this. If you've ever been in the ocean or a pond or a lake and you see bubbles coming up from the surface, or any time you've ever seen a bubble rise from the bottom of the water to the top, you'll notice that it's like at first it kind of is very oblong. It'll change shape. That's the pressure equalizing. But by the time it gets close to the top, it's basically a sphere. So that means that there's equal pressure around the gas. So there's not more pushing it up from the bottom. There's no relationship about their push. It just does that. It just goes up in the medium. And you can't even really explain why. It just does it. It's just a relationship. And so you're like, well, that's not a cause either. And that's why everybody's like, yeah, it's the space-time warping. And oh, yeah, the mass, which isn't defined. Yeah, that mass attracts stuff. It's retarded. The Earth is measured flat. It doesn't move. There's no motion of it. We know it when the motion happens. We call it earthquakes. Everybody shits their pants and hides under a table. That's what happens when the Earth moves. Otherwise, this sucker is solid. It's not moving, and we're in a contained system. And everyone's just going to have to go ahead and come to terms with what you experience every damn day of your life.